So, good evening, everyone, and good morning to Padmaja ma'am. So, today we are having an eminent personality, Ms. Padmaja Rani Behra, amongst us. And without any further ado, I'd like to introduce the firm ShanMukh Linguaskill Solutions, where we are organizing virtual reading club. As a part of that, we are conducting book reviews every Friday. And I love to have Ma'am Padmaja here because she was the one who was there even from the inception of my organization. And if you remember, you're there in the inaugural ceremony as well online.
Yep.
So, without any further ado, I request Ms. Nissi to kindly introduce our today's reviewer.
Yes, ma'am. So good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
So, Mrs. Padmaja Behra is an English language trainer who is currently freelancing after working for almost 30 years. First as a teacher and then as an assistant professor in a reputed engineering college. Ms. Padmaja Behra holds two postgraduate degrees, one in psychology and another in English language. An additional advantage to having these degrees is her undergraduate experience in developmental studies. This magic mix helps her immensely not only in her teaching career but also in her daily interactions with people. She loves reading both fiction and non-fiction, not to mention her love for thinking and analyzing each book that she reads and each show that she watches. She is here today with the same excitement to share her views on the present book. So let's join our hands together and welcome our today's reviewer.
Yes, ma'am. Padmaja ma'am, floor is yours.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Ms. Nissi and Santosh ma'am. Hey everyone, I'm Mrs. Padmaja Behra, as she just mentioned, and I'm super thrilled to be here with you all today for this book review session. And I hope you guys are as excited as I am to be here today. But before we deep dive into the session, let me take a quick moment to commend and thank Dr. Santosh Kumari ma'am for reaching out to me to be a part of this beautiful session today. And not just that, I would also like to congratulate her for reaching out, for going way beyond her known limitations of the show and time and place. And I also would like to commend on her zeal and commitment and her tenacity in seeing things through once she locks in on a target. So great job, Santosh ma'am. Keep going. And all the best for all your future endeavors. And thank you so much for reaching out to me. And it's almost like I've given up and freelance is a different journey altogether. So yeah, this means a lot to me. Thank you. So let's now deep dive into it. Okay, are you guys ready?
Yes, definitely.
But before we start the session, let me ask a quick question. How many of you thought that I took too much time in all these formalities in the beginning, introductions and stuff like that? You can quickly type in yes or no if you feel so, or you can even answer. And how many of you feel time is extra precious, that you constantly keep a look at your watch, constantly keep running with the seconds? For how many of you, Friday was a long way away and you had to wait eagerly for Friday to come? And for how many of you, Friday just dawned onto you? I'm very curious to know the answers to these questions. Anyone?
You can unmute yourself and speak if anybody is interested. Yeah.
Time is precious, right? Dr. Vaishnavi agrees with me. I'm sure it's a universal thing for everybody to start from there, isn't it? We all agree that time is precious. So this book that I'm going to review today is The Timekeeper by Mitch Albom. Now, I don't know how many of you are familiar with this author, but Mitch Albom, has written so many bestsellers. The first one that comes to anybody's mind when we talk about this author is The 5 People You Meet in Heaven. And almost a couple of years back, I got my hands on 7 or 8 of his books, and I went through all of them like a marathon. And what struck me the most about this author is his inimitable style of writing. Okay, ma'am, let's not scroll as of yet. So his inimitable style of simplicity and the way in which he gives this message. And no book can be read in isolation. Even if you read once, you feel like it's an easy read, right? You can finish it in a day. And if you keep at it, maybe half a day. But every book seems like to be a continuation of all the other books. And this is the reason why I chose this particular book, because then again, most of us live these lives, our hectic lives, our productive lives, with no manual at all, right? We wing it as we go. We learn, unlearn, keep learning, and go on with our lives, isn't it? But when we talk to elders or wise people or read such books, we end up getting this brilliant sparks that do help us in the way forward. So this is one such book. In fact, if you get the chance to read, please go through all his books. They're very simple, in easy language, and there is not too much fuss about it. Unlike my other favorite writer, Paulo Coelho, I'm sure you are familiar with his works also. Books like Pilgrimage, The Alchemist, where every line is a quotation for life. But whereas Mitch Albom's work doesn't give you any quotations in your face, but the message is very, very clear. Once you finish reading, there is this lingering thought process that goes on because you are so drawn into the book, especially the message that he goes through. The one core nugget in each book will be a resounding factor that stays with you forever. So coming back to the book at hand, The Timekeeper, this is a fable, okay, a story where there are only 3 main characters. It's a very simple story, okay, but the crux of it is something that rings true for all of us today, that has a profound meaning for all of us today, because as I just mentioned, we all obsess over time, right? Ma'am, can we go to the next slide? Here we have, like I said, there are only 3 characters, right? The first one is the timekeeper. His name is Dor. Okay, this is again a fictional story, and the entire novel, it kind of shifts between these 3 characters and their stories. Okay, but finally towards the end, it brings all 3 of them together on the same page. Now, Dor is the first person who, even before the concept of time, is the one who is intrigued by the movement of the sun, the moon, the stars. And he starts the first measuring instruments by way of small things like water balls, sticks, and looking at the shadow of the sun. And he, according to this novel, is the first one who started even to measure time. Okay, so that's the premise. And he is therefore, because he's so immersed in his curiosity of measuring time, he is even removed from his reality of his family, his other familial duties and responsibilities. And luckily for him, his wife is his ardent supporter, his childhood sweetheart, and she encourages him in this route. And finally, he even goes into exile. He's exiled by the king because he refuses to do any other work. So, and once they go out into the exile, his wife ends up getting some kind of smallpox and she dies. And in his grief, he tries to take on with gods and he goes to fight with the gods. Okay, so in the process, and we know gods are more powerful than human beings, right? So the gods punish him and send him into a cave, giving him a life that is far-fetching and eternal, where there is no death to him. And he initially says it's a blessing and I don't deserve such blessing. But then God says, it can be whatever. It need not be a blessing. It can be a curse in disguise. Because he is supposed to be there for eternity, right? There is no death, there is no aging, nothing. He gets to see everybody, he gets to listen to every human being's voice on earth. Imagine what kind of torture he must have had for so many years. And then one fine day, God again comes to him and he asks, when am I going to be relieved from all of this? God says, there will come a time when you will meet two people, one who wants more time and one who doesn't want any more time, and you teach them the value of time. It's only then that this cycle will be broken. And so this timekeeper, the old man Dor, he keeps waiting again and again. And finally, towards the end, he meets these two people, a 18-year-old adolescent called Sarah and an old man called Victor. These two are the people that he comes across from the story. Now, the story progresses, like I said, in bits and pieces, right? We first listen to Sarah, who is an 18-year-old girl. And just as any 18-year-old would, she's extremely obsessed with her looks. And she focuses mostly on all her characteristics that she wishes to have, rather than being thankful for all the qualities that she already has. She's a topper of the class. She's an extra bright student, comes from a very good family, a loving and doting mother. Although it's a broken family with the father not in the picture, yet she has everything else going for her except that. And as it normally happens, she's awkward with herself and she doesn't have too many friends. So she focuses only on that and feels very unloved and unwanted by her friends. She feels alienated from her friends. And then, as the story would take us, she falls in love with a very popular boy in the class, and they meet in a shelter. So she assumes that he is also equally interested in her. And inevitably, it leads to a heartbreak. Yes, ma'am. Sorry, yeah. Inevitably, she gets through heartbreak, and finally, she decides to kill herself because the boy refuses. And not only that, after pouring out all her energies into that, she feels very belittled, and she feels extremely vulnerable to the people around her. And so she decides to kill herself. So when she feels, initially at the beginning of the story, she's constantly like, I need that Saturday to come fast because she can go meet the boy. But when Saturday actually comes and she's heartbroken, she's like, she doesn't want any more time on earth. She's like, I'm done with it. Okay, so that character goes through the same vagaries that we all go through. We either want the time to go fast, or we want time to stand still, or we just want to be done with that part of that moment, right? So that's all about Sarah and how Dor tries to help her out in the long run. And the next character that we talk about, ma'am, can you please click? Yeah, the next character is an old man, an old savvy businessman called Victor Delamont. He is an extremely rich man, unfortunately, who is diagnosed with cancer and almost has only a few months to survive, not more than that. He has a very loving wife called Grace. But then again, he is so engrossed and embroiled with his own emotions that he fails to see the reality of the situation. Now, this is one old man who's been in control of everything, and who's used to getting things done his way. So he decides it's not yet time for him to die. He needs more time on this earth. And so he reads up and comes across this new technology called cryogenics, where he can be frozen for eternity, or up until a time when there will be enough advancement in medicine and where he can be brought back to life. So he puts all his money, just leaves bare minimum for his wife, and writes down the will for entire wealth to be transferred to the cryogenic facilities where he can be maintained. His body can be kept, and he's called a patient and not a corpse even after death, just in that hope that he will be resurrected later. So this is about him. Now, it's up to Dor to bring these two people together, tie them with this hourglass that he's given. God gives him with this hourglass, right? So he gives that hourglass and tries to tell him to bring these two characters together and make them understand why their time on earth is precious, why they should look beyond their skewed vision, okay, and thereby helping himself to um, attain salvation, peace, whatever. Okay, so if you see here, there is all this intervene, teach, freedom, and exile, right? So intervene is he has to intervene into the lives of these two people and teach them the value of life and value of time, thereby giving them freedom and um, getting up. I mean, exile is the first phase where he is exiled into that cave, and then followed by all this. Finally, he can attain freedom just by helping these people understand the value of time. So, in this entire story, finally, it so happens that Dor will be able to help Sarah by helping her see. He takes these two people into the future. Here again, he mentions Einstein's rule where he says if you are traveling into the future at the same speed, the world slows down, I believe. So they get to see their future in slow motion. Where Sarah says that she tries to attempt suicide just as to spite that boy, right? And she thinks, okay, once I die, he's going to be overcome with guilt and he will die in remorse. Unfortunately, nothing like that happens in the future. And she gets to see that he actually leads his life very normally, without as if nothing has happened. And he continues his escapades as usual. But all the other people that she never thought would even mourn for her, actually, who she never thought even noticed her when she was alive, are the people that actually mourn for her. All the people at the shelter that she had helped, and more importantly, her mother. She sees that her mother is devastated by her death. And that's when she realizes that it was a miscalculation on her part. Likewise, he takes Victor also on this ride, isn't it? So Victor gets to see his future, where he realizes he is not resurrected because after so many years, all the people that he has bequeathed his wealth, they all have died. His wealth is taken out by somebody else, and he just becomes a lab rat. And his memories are used by people to study how dumb, for the want of a better word, human beings can be. Okay, so that's when both of them realize that their decisions are not in the best of their interests. And luckily, all this is done by Dor with his hourglass, right? And so they both get the chance to come back to lives. They are not dead yet, but just before dying, they experience all of this. So the final decisions help them to bring back to their life. And through this story and through these characters, we are told how important it is for us to live in the moment, how important it is for us to cherish, to stay, to pause, to think, to appreciate what we have. So, this is a beautiful takeaway from it. This is the story in a nutshell. I'm sure even if you start reading, ma'am, we can stop scrolling, or can we just take a look at what the other slide is? Yeah, it's just the theme of this entire novel is time, mortality, and redemption. Okay, most of us, we all agreed, right? Time is precious, and it should be. Time is a gift, and at the same time, it's a curse also. Do you all agree? Because we are so caught up in time that we barely observe anything else. We are constantly running. All of us, every day, we wake up with an alarm clock, and for everything, we need our watch to remind us. And we are constantly, most of you, I'm sure, must be, especially Kuntalika, if I'm sure, if I remember it right, will be running for the biometric early in the morning. So there's a queue. And evening at 5:30, again, we are waiting for that biometric, for the watch to strike that 5:30 or 5, whatever, so that we can go back home, isn't it? So in between, our every action is determined or even dictated by what the watch tells us, isn't it? So in a way, time is not just a gift, it can also be a curse based on how you use it. Okay, and then the danger of controlling things. When you know some things are not in your hands, you should learn to let go and be in the present rather than just clinging on to things where you have no say. This is easier said than done, but then that is one another theme that comes across in this story. And finally, true acceptance gives us true freedom. I'm sure once you come to my age, you will realize I'm just 18 as per Santosh ma'am, but still, once you come to this, you realize that sometimes it's okay to just let go of things. It's okay to accept things as they are. Okay, the hourglass and dose transformation and the interwoven narratives, all these are the literary devices that are used in this story. So I don't think I'll need to go, it becomes a literature lesson then.
Mm-hmm.
Can we move on to the next slide, ma'am?
Yeah, 1 second.
I hope the story is interesting to you all because finally, when you finish reading the book on your own, it's a very simple story, right? There is not too much nuances. You don't have to break your head trying to understand the scheme of things. It almost feels like a science fiction story towards the end. But then the underlying message is so simple and so universal. And the key takeaways are live in the present. That's the best thing, right? There is no point in worrying about what has happened, and there's no point in worrying about what's yet to happen. So, to be in the present is the best thing that we can do for ourselves. Okay. And to also confront the fear of death. Okay. So, most of us, I'm sure, we all worry about what's going to happen tomorrow, especially after COVID hit. People are constantly engaged with that theme of death, isn't it? We are like, who knows what's going to happen tomorrow? So why worry about things that we do not know what's going to happen? So why not focus on today? Why not focus on the here and now in the present? So that's the key takeaway from this book. So again, there is this beautiful question that sees there. See, how many of us prioritize the present? How many of us are truly present in the here and now and not worry about the consequences or what's going to happen at a later date? I think this is a serious question that we all need to think about. Like I said, it's easier said than done, right? Because as human beings, we are inevitably worried about what's going to happen. Who's going to say what? Tomorrow, will I be around? Or what's going to happen in the meeting? Or what's going to happen in the classroom? Or what's going to happen in the family events? Can be umpteen questions that plague us. But keeping all that aside, can we truly focus on the now? That's the question that we all need to ask ourselves. Okay, so there is a reason God limits our days to make each one precious. That is why time is precious, because we know that, like just like the sand slips through in the hourglass, our time runs out. So it becomes extra precious. So we need to focus on. And we should remember another important line that I took from this book, which is nothing is too soon or too late. It is just as when it should be. So this is something that we need to remember. Everything happens when it should. There is nothing like it's too soon or too late. I hope you all enjoyed this review as much as I did presenting it to you today. And I hope I've given you the link to the book, and I hope you will all go through the book. If you have any questions or if you'd like to discuss this any further, let's go.
Thank you
Unmute yourselves. Come on.
Thank you so much. So we have 4 minutes 37 seconds. So if anybody wants, because the name itself is a time management concept. So I request if anybody wants to share feedback. I take.
Wonderful session, ma'am. Amazing. I really like this session. Yes. Even I feel that yes, we should live in the present. Yeah, I really like this session, ma'am.
Thank you, Sunita ma'am. I was not trying to make it preachy, but then this is something that will resonate with all of us. That's the reason why I chose this book.
Yes, ma'am, you're absolutely right. Yes. Even it made me to think.
I see everybody for a second. if it's not too much to ask.
Yeah. Like Arun sir, or Nissi, or Vaishnavi ma'am, Jaya ma'am, anybody wants to share anything? We have 3 minutes, 43 seconds,
Yeah,
please.
okay, yes, ma'am. It's a very nice, short book, short story presented in a very well and effective manner. Uh, the conclusion was very nice. Just we are anticipating, we couldn't, of course, anticipate, but what it will be, it's so interesting. And the conclusion is very much justifiable and well remembered thing on in a day-to-day life. Very nicely told, madam. Very nicely explained. Thank you for this.
Thank you, Mr. Arun.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Rita ma'am.
Yeah, I
Vaishnavi
think
ma'am.
due to time constraint, I could not go deep into it. Yeah, please, ma'am, please.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you so much. Vaishnavi ma'am, Jaya ma'am, Nissi, if you want to tell anything, you can go ahead. You have 2 minutes, 43 seconds. All right.
Then I'll just quickly close with one quote from the book.
Yeah.
One character in this book says, "We all yearn for what we've lost, but sometimes we forget what we have." So this is another thought that we can take with us as we conclude this. And again, like I said, ask ourselves this question: do we use time wisely to be still, to cherish, to be grateful, to lift or be lifted?
Wonderful. Come on, today after coming home, I'll read it and tomorrow I'll tell you. Yeah. Jaya ma'am, would you like to say anything?
Yeah.
Yes.
Ma'am, good evening. Nice to listen to your book review. Wonderful insights you have provided, insisting on the time value of time. On definitely, we have to teach this to our students, and it's really fruitful insights you have provided. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jaya ma'am. Yes, Vaishnavi ma'am, Nissi. Okay. So thank you very much, Vaishnavi ma'am. I think.
Yeah, ma'am. Yeah, thank you so much. It was a very, very good session, and it all again reminded us how important it is to live in the present and not waste time, in fact, on thinking of something that is not in our hands. It's a very good reminder for all of us, and thank you so much. I also want to re-listen it once you post it in the YouTube, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Yeah, definitely. In another 1 hour, I think by night I'll be posting it in the group. Yeah. So thank you
Okay,
so
ma'am.
much for all the participants and the wonderful reviewer today. Without any, because I know she's staying in US, so it's early hours for her. But in spite of that, I know she could make her day. So thank you so much. And I thank her daughter as well because she's the one who has been supporting her here. So I need to thank her as well. So thank you for both. So thank you all the participants for your patiently hearing. Of course, we all enjoyed it. So thank you so much, ma'am. Nice meeting you again virtually.
Pleasure's all mine.
Yeah.